Hello everybody. I'm gonna give y'all just a second to hop on. I'm gonna make my tea. I'm back to my floral green tea today. Hey y'all, welcome. I'm trying to be very careful today, as if you were here on Tuesday, you will know that I totally spilled my hot tea when I first hopped on live on Tuesday. So I am being uber careful today to not start this off on such a hard note for myself. Hey Aunt Maria, hey Alex, hey Elise. I'm gonna give everyone just a little bit of time to jump on and to get started. Hey Mel. Like I said, I'm being very careful with my tea today because we don't need any mess ups. But if you want to take this time to go ahead and get your tea and get whatever's going to make you feel kind of spoiled and special during this time, go ahead and do that, whatever it is you're feeling. Yeah, go ahead and take care of that. I'm going to show you the supplies that we need today. It is as usual, but if it's your first time, I'm going to show you. So we are painting this beautiful flower today, and I'm so pumped about it. Hey Abby, hey Hannah. So you need your washable, disposable surface to mix your paints on. You need a surface to paint on, whatever it is you have available today. You need yellow, blue, and red paint. You need white paint. You definitely need a pencil today. Brush, cloth to wipe off on, and cleaner water than what I have. That's murky and gross, but whatever. I totally forgot to clean that out. And then whatever makes you happy, tea-wise. I'm going for the floral green tea today. And like I said, I'm being extremely careful with it. So there we go, we're set up. So here is what we are going for today. So this is our goal for the day. I'll bring it to you a little closer. It is totally achievable. I'm really excited about it. Y'all are just gonna have to trust me. This is a big, beautiful, complex flower. It's definitely a lot more intricate than what we started with on Tuesday. But the good thing is, one, since it's so complex and so intricate, if you mess it up and at the end it looks nothing like the flower, you really haven't lost anything because you went for a really big thing, you tried something challenging, and you've had a good experience. If, if, however, you have a flower that turns out to kind of look like an iris, you can be super proud of it. And if you end up with a beautiful flower that looks definitely like an iris, then you have a chance to flex and to show people what you did today, because that's impressive. So there are no pressures on this one, no expectations. We're just gonna try and tackle this like gorgeous beast of a flower and see what we can create. So it's just gonna be fun. As usual, the first thing we need to do is we need to take a deep breath. So everyone breathe in and breathe out. Let all the pressure wash away, let all the stress and anxiety wash away. Choose to take everything that you've been carrying today, all of the weight, all of the anxieties, all of the worry, take that off your shoulders for this time and just focus your mind on drawing and painting something lovely. And even if what comes out of your work and your efforts doesn't look as lovely as the flower, you will still have spent an hour growing, practicing a new skill, and choosing to dwell on something that is beautiful and in bloom around you. So no matter what, this is going to be a good time, well spent, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So let's get started. Grab your sip of whatever you're drinking, and we'll get started with painting. I'm going to... Welcome, Meg. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to get this set up, and unlike Tuesday, I'm going to plug this baby in. So we will not lose this class. If you are unaware of what I'm talking about, we had a class on Crimson Clover this past Tuesday, where after I spilt my hot tea all over myself, I also forgot to plug in my phone, and we lost the class. So if you weren't with us live, that is why we don't have the class. Hold up, my iPad is making me sign in so I can see y'all's comments. Stand by. Okay. Getting there. I like to be able to see y'all's comments while I paint, so if you have any questions, you can always ask me and I can answer y'all in real time. So let me pop that on. You can see, gosh y'all, isn't this gorgeous? I just think this is the prettiest flower we've painted so far. Yeah, we just lucked out that my mom did not plant these in her garden, but I guess the people before her did. So we are just like the happy, is it benefactors of whoever lived here before. So y'all know, if you've done this class before, you know the first thing that we're always going to do is we are going to observe what we are painting. So I'm going to be very careful with it as I bring it up closer to you. So this is an iris. It is super delicate and super intricate. You see we have 3 petals coming down and 3 petals going up. And each of the petals coming down, we have this beautiful white striping texture coming out. We've got a 3-dimensional yellow tuft. If someone knows the actual name of like the centers of flowers, please tell me so I can stop saying tufts and things like that. Obviously it's purple. But we see there are different types of purple, right? So we've got this nice soft lilac purple. We've got a deep blue purple here, but then it kind of turns reddish to orange right here. That's really cool. We've got a thick stem that's all one unit after it meets together. What else? We've got a really cool long leaf, which we are gonna kind of play into, even though it's not gonna show as much in what you can see from the screen. We're still gonna add one in just for effect. Anything else? If y'all notice anything else, I mean, beautiful ruffles. If you notice anything else, let me know, and we will be sure to pay attention to it. I've got this little setup of like cardboard underneath it so we can keep the petals like this rather than flattened out. So I think it'll work for us. It's all about what we can make work in this season, not necessarily what would be ideal if we could purchase anything. But, all right, we are ready to get started. Let us see. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do today is we are starting with our flower structure. We're gonna do a lot more drawing, so go ahead and grab your pencils. And we are gonna draw out general shapes first, and then we're going to expound on the ruffles. So like right here, we see a flat line, a rounded edge, and we'll do a flat line here, and then we'll do another rounded edge. So we're kind of gonna do like a squat ball. Like if you can imagine like one of those little like squeezy balls being flattened, we'll have 2 flat edges and then 2 round edges. We're gonna come up to the top third of our drawing for this. Once again, here's the finished one that I did, which you can see is pretty close. So we're gonna be up, sorry, I hit a wall. We're gonna be up in this like top, really it's top half. Let me get this down. So top half of the drawing for that, and then we're just gonna let the stem come off the page, or you can stop it just before the edge of the page. So top half, we're gonna start with this squat ball. And for those of you who have not taken this class before, just know we are going to go to the hour mark live. And then if you are still live and you still need help with finishing things up, we are going to end this live so I can save it for people to take later. And then we will start a new live where I will answer your questions and we will get everything finished just right. Okay, so you'll see I've got this flat line, rounded edge, flat base. Okay? Now from the edges, from the corners of my top flat line, I'm gonna do these center lines right here. You see these white center lines on the flower coming up? So we're gonna do those coming up. And those are also arched. So bring those up. They're not going anywhere in particular. They do not need to be exact. As we've said before, organic shapes are not perfect and they're not exact, so it's better if they're not. So just kind of round those out going up. Good deal? Okay. The next thing we're going to do, this guy changed a little bit on me, but that's okay. We will go down here, and we're gonna kind of emphasize this one. We're gonna go out just a little bit and peek it in. So you see right here, I just peeked out a little tiny bump. And then I'll do, at the point of that, I'll do another little bump. And I'll come back down here. And now I'm gonna go to the center of my flat line and put a little V. And then I'll round that out. So what we're doing is we're getting that kind of abnormal shape of the petal to where it's ruffled, but we're doing it more systematically so that everything's in the right proportions. And then this one you can pretty much keep the same. All right. Now, coming over here on this side, we're gonna go ahead and draw in this petal coming up. So I'm gonna come over, and then I'm just gonna do one big oval right here. Later on, we can go back and make it look more like the actual petal, but for now, we're just gonna do a big oval there, and then we're gonna come over here and do a big oval here. And you can see my oval, I'll finish it so you can see where it would go. So that's where it would go if I was doing a full oval, but I'm not. So I just kind of did most of an oval knowing that it goes behind this petal. Okay, and do the same thing on this side. Once again, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just our base shape, and it helps us to kind of get the right proportions on the page before we start editing and tweaking, like whether it has a little square and whether it has a little ruffle. So the first thing we do is we get that base shape on the paper, and then from there, we'll do our edits. So once you've got those two ovals, let's go ahead and let's fix this one and give it a point. So come over here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's not perfect. So I gave it a point right there, and then I think it actually comes up more. So I'm just gonna do a little line there, knowing that it's gonna show more. So I'll just do a little box right there. And I'll erase the other lines that I don't need anymore because I don't wanna be confused. You don't have to, it's just gonna help me and it'll help you more specifically. So I had that oval, and then I just bumped out some edges. And you can do different edges if you want to. This one is pretty much the same, but I'll just flatten this point right here, and that's all I'm gonna do. And then I'll keep it an oval shape. And so already what you can see that we're doing is we're using the same shapes to get the same sizes of our petals so that we know that they're all the same 3 petals coming down, but by changing slightly what the edges look like and whether one points or one doesn't point, that's when it starts to look more real because the petals won't naturally fall in the exact same position. So let's now start beefing out our centers. So first thing, we're gonna draw this little center tuft, which no one yet has told me what they're called. So if you know, take a pause, tell me, help a girl out. Okay, so I'm just doing a little half circle right there. That's gonna let me know where that is. A little half circle right there. And then you'll see we've got this point right here. It's a little 2-pronged, 2 triangles. So I'll come over to the side, do triangle number 1. And you see it's not a perfect triangle, it's a pointed shape with, I would assume, 3 sides. And then I'll do, overlapping with it, another one. So it kind of makes an M if you look at it like that. So just those 2 points. How are we doing? Y'all let me know if we need to slow down or if we need to stop. I'm always happy to help out. Just let me know. Now we're gonna draw just kind of the base shape of these 2 beautiful petals that are in our foreground, okay? So we're gonna start with this one right here because it's easiest. So we're gonna come over here. I'm trying to draw from the camera view so I can see that. So it comes down to the point at the M and back up. So we're gonna go with the curve of the line you already drew. And then we're gonna come out nice and pretty, like that. And remember, we will always come back in and edit later and make a better shape and a better structure, but for now, that's our base structure. So it kind of looks like a sailboat, like the sail of a sailboat going out. We've got that center line that we already drew, and then we just drew the two shapes going out the other direction. And we're gonna do something similar on this side. So let's do, but this one's gonna be a little bit fatter. So come out nice and fat, and then bring that in. And then it comes further in. So bring that over and bring that down. So I'm trying to resist. I have this, like I see in my own like little things that I need to fix, and I'm having to slow down and stop myself from jumping too far ahead. Okay, so now that we've got those two base structures, the first thing I notice is we have this pretty little jut out that kind of looks like a heart that's built into it. So the heart comes from here to here. So if you need to draw the actual heart, go ahead and do that, and then you can erase it later. But I've got the heart coming from that center line. Do you see what I've done there? I've got that heart coming from that center line. And now I'm gonna erase the heart and this. So erase. And that's the beauty of stuff like this. My first art teacher, I remember she taught me how to draw a chicken, like a rooster, completely with circles and ovals. And it just changed everything for me. And that helped me so much. So I hope this is helping you too. And so now we've got this coming over here, and we're gonna bring it back over to the top of this. So get those ruffles in. If yours are different than mine, that's totally okay. We'll just say that you painted a different iris, and that works just as well. So, okay, so that's that one. And then one thing I noticed is we do have that third petal, because we noticed there are 3 bottom petals and 3 top petals. So we still have that third petal peeking out from the top. So let's go ahead and add that one in. And it's coming up from about right here. And it's just a nice circle coming up from the top. Just kind of arch that over. And then now that we have that, we need to recognize right here, this one doesn't come in like that. It doesn't do a perfect arch, but instead it has a ruffle coming straight to the center line. So I'm going to come from the top of this in the center, and we're going to pull that down. You'll have no idea how difficult it is to draw from the camera view. I'm trying to do that more while I'm teaching y'all. But yeah, just pull that in. And I'm gonna try something right now. My phone has a high battery, but the iPad where I have access to y'all's comments is running low. So I'm gonna see if I can remember to switch this out later. Y'all feel free to comment on here later to remember to check my phone's battery so we don't die in the middle. All right, that should be fine. That should work just fine. Okay, so back to it. That hopefully gave you a little bit more time to edit and critique and do a little adjusting. So I'm happy with that for now. Do we want any more adjustments? Okay, yes, the top one. Move that back up so we can see the top of the flower. The top one, let's put a little bit of a M point, a little V, and ruffle that top up. And then pull it out a little bit. Okay? And then this one on the far right, we haven't really edited it either. So let's pull this, keep that the same, and then we're gonna bump this guy, let it ruffle out, and pull that back in, okay? So minor changes, but it just helps us get that shape in. Okay, now the easiest part, we're gonna do the stem, which you can see is centered. It V's down, there we go. It V's down, and then it just comes straight down. So find that center, give a nice V about the thickness of your half circle in the center. Hey Ashton, welcome. Okay, so about that thickness of the pinky, if you're on this shape of this size of a paper. If not, just kind of do the same thickness as that, and then pull it down. It's gonna taper in a little bit and get a little thinner. You're just gonna pull it down. Now, Ashton, I know what you're thinking, but let me tell you that when you watch this back over, you can 100% do this flower. You've just gotta watch it from the beginning. I do break it down, so you gotta trust me, babe. Okay, so I brought this down. And now, you see, I didn't close out this one. If you did, that's totally fine and made it even. We're gonna go from the bottom of the left one, the left line, and we're gonna shoot up, okay? So we're just gonna shoot up, not completely to the flower, but close to it at an angle. So you see the angle I took. And then you're gonna close that out, because you see this leaf, well, you can't fully see it, I'm scared to change it, but you see how this leaf goes? They're really pretty, like straight shoot out leaves. I like this angle right here for our actual flower, but the leaf angle I liked differently, so I chose the flower, but we're still gonna fix it accordingly. Okay, so bring that down. And like I said, this flower is not gonna have an ending. We are just letting it run off the page. All right, so that is our stem and that is our drawing. So we are ready to get started with painting. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to take our red and our blue. All right, and we're gonna make this purple color. Now remember, you do not need to use a ton of paint, so just get a little bit on there. You can always add more as you go, but I know we're all limited on our paint supplies and toilet paper supplies and everything supplies, so don't go using your whole tube in one mix. So just do a little dot, mix it together. You can always add more of either of the colors. Just like right now, I was not thinking, and I added way too much blue to this mix. So I'm gonna need to add more red. So I'm glad I didn't add too much of both. So I can kind of do that. So I'm gonna add some more red. And then we'll mix a nice pure purple. It is gonna be a little bit more on the blue side because we're gonna start with that bluish purple and then we'll add the red later. Okay, so now, if you need a little water to kind of loosen it up a little bit, do a little dab of water, mix that in with your paints. But now we're gonna fill in our main dark colors. So we're gonna start with this bottom petal. And what the water does is it actually kind of makes it glide better on the paper. And you're gonna trace the outline of your flower petal and then fill in. So by doing that, you make sure that you get a nice hard line on the outside, and then later you can fill in the color. So be doing that. I'm not gonna bother with this inside spot right here. Actually, that's a lie, I am, just fill it in. Don't mind me. Okay, so get that petal filled in. And then keep going on the other two bottom ones. We're gonna fill them in as well. It's okay if you leave a little bit of a line of marcation in between them. Just go ahead and get the bulk of that filled in and make sure the edges are nice and hard. And you know, you drew these lines yourself, so they're not written in stone. They don't have to be perfect. You can go a little bit outside these. The goal is for them to look like the same type of petal, but not the same petal repeated. So just kind of let that wave happen. This is a big enough flower to where you have a little bit more freedom to slip with your paintbrush. Okay, so that's that. Now on our top ones, you're gonna go a little bit more red purple. Not much of a difference, just kind of as you're mixing a little bit more, just put more red than blue. And we are just gonna trace the outline. First, we're gonna fill in the middle of this one, so the middle gap. And y'all, as y'all join in, be sure to say hello, type in your name, let me know who's here. I don't always know people's screen names, but I'm happy to say hello. Okay, so fill in that middle section, and then we're just gonna do the outline. Now this outline, I'm gonna show you. How it looks on the inside of your flower does not matter. It's all about getting that hard line on the outside. So mine is rough. It's not a pretty outline on the inside, and it's not even really flat. I am just getting a nice hard line, a hard dark line along the edge of each of these petals that we've drawn, okay? There we go. Remember, if you need to mix a little bit more water in with your paints, just kind of do that as you need to. It will help it glide a little bit better. And you know, when we're doing these classes, we're gonna work in layers. And so the first layer is never gonna be the last layer, or very rarely gonna be the last layer. Okay. There's that. Y'all are doing great. Thank you for keeping up with me. And remember that we don't always love our first draft, but I am, God willing, gonna save this class so that you will always have another shot at it. So if you want to do a second draft or try again, you will have that option. So just trace the outlines of this petal. And then I'm gonna go ahead with this dark color and just add a few more lines. These are going with the shape of my inside petals, but they are not necessarily in specific places. So I'm just gonna go a line there, line there, line there. I'm just putting some random lines in there. I don't know if I'll keep them all the way to the end, but they might be a nice addition to kind of go ahead and add some shadowing and some shading. So I'm just putting those random lines in. They might get covered up later. Clean your brushes out and get your white paint. Take a sip of your tea if you need to. I'm gonna give you all a second to get caught up. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make this lighter purple color. So you know the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna take, oh, close up, sure. Okay, this is what I've got right now. That's all I've got so far. Okay, so you see we filled in the dark on the bottom three because those are darker petals. And then we did the outline. I did a nice and sharp outline on the outer edge of the top petals, but you see I didn't really worry about how the inside looked because it's gonna get covered over real fast. But I got that outline all in, and then I added in just a few random lines because you can see it here. We've got a few random dark lines. I didn't pay attention to where they were on the petal, just kind of a general gauge of where they were. And that's gonna add that kind of delicate ruffled look later. So you can always add those darker lines in later. There's no saying it has to be done in this stage. So now we are going to go ahead, mix a lighter reddish purple. So get that white, get that red and that blue. You're gonna need more red than blue. So this is the color we've got. See? And we're gonna fill in our top flowers, petals now. So wherever you don't have lines, you can kind of come up to these edges because those edges were never meant to be the hard and fast things that stayed. So just fill those in. Y'all are doing great. And if petal to petal, the color purple that you're using changes a little bit, that is a great thing. There are so many dimensions of purple in this flower, and it's hard to mix every single one. So if that happens on its own by accident, just thank the heavens for your lucky stars and roll with it. So that is a good thing that each time you kind of mix up a little bit more paint, it turns out a slightly different color. All right, so just fill this in. And we're gonna do these little triangles too, so just fill that little triangle in, going up. And now we're gonna take a little bit of this, we're gonna flatten out our brush. Get a little bit of that light purple on the tip of our brush, and we're gonna come down. You see the flower right here on this big petal coming in front of us. We've got just a little bit of that light purple trimming the edge. So we're gonna do a little bit of that trim, okay? So come down to where that edge was supposed to be. If you've kind of forgotten, now is your chance to make it up again. Guess at it and do the best you can. Honestly, I can't fully see where mine was. I'm just guessing. So just draw that line in. And it doesn't go all the way down to the center bottom, but you can bring it all the way down to the bottom. So I'm not coming in on the bottom, I just stopped. I just took it down to this edge, okay? And I'm gonna take a little bit of my darker purple that I had mixed up already, and I'm just gonna blend it a little bit now. So I'm not blending it completely, just blending it a little bit to where it kind of fades in just a tad. And remember, we are doing layers on this, so if this layer doesn't look pristine and superb, that is a-okay. Because in the end, we probably won't see this layer anyways. Okay, so we've got that. A nice little soft edging. Mine went a little bit too soft. I blended it too much. Well, I'm putting that back in now. Okay, so we've got that edging in. And then looking at these two petals to see if they need that lighter color. They maybe need just a little bit. So let's just grab the tip and grab just a little bit. Because I see on this one we had that really pretty fold down. And that just adds a little bit of information and detail that we wouldn't be able to make up ourselves. So just kind of come from the center top and just pull that down with the light color. That's just gonna add a little bit of that detail, and then you can come over to this side. I see a little bit lighter in this corner right here. You see that? That's just a little bit lighter. So I'm just gonna add just a little bit of that light color to that corner. Now I'm not bothering with blending with this. I'm just letting it be a nice light color. So here's a close-up of what we're working with right now. Okay? So let's go ahead. Hey, Miss Peggy, welcome. I'm glad you could join us. We are a little ways into this, so if this feels like it's too far along for you to get started as it is right now, just watch and enjoy like the first round of this class, soaking up the information, and then you can watch it again later and do the actual painting in time from the beginning. But you are welcome to just kind of join us and enjoy the process of watching for now. Okay, so where are we? What do we need to work on next? Let's go a little bit redder. So I'm gonna, continuing on, it's still in the purple family, but it's a much redder version. So let me get that mixed up for you. You know how that works, you know how to do it now. You're getting better and better as we go. So I've got just a little bit of white mixed in, some blue. I'm over top of the purple I was making earlier. And oh, well, there it is in my hand. But I've just kind of made it a little bit more red. That's very blue. I just made this a little bit more red. And we're gonna focus down right here on these corners. These two little sides right here. We're gonna do those dots. Let me see if I've got the right color. I hope I do. But you know what? We've said this before. If I don't have the right color, the beauty with painting is give it 2 minutes, let it dry, and we'll paint over it. So let's do, yeah, that's good. So I'm doing a circle there, like a big dot. And I'll do a big dot here. Okay? And you can fan that down a little bit if you want to, or you can keep it as 2 dots. So here it is up close. I just did those 2 dots with that reddish kind of purple. That was nice and just more red, like probably, I don't know, 2 parts red to 1 part blue to a dab of white. If it's not thick enough, you can always go another layer. Y'all, I think the Yona kitty is about to say hello again. She just came out of her lair. Okay. And now we're gonna add a little bit more detail. Again, just more layers, building layers of ruffles and that delicate petal. So I'm gonna take the skinny side of my brush and I'm just gonna draw a line, 2 lines coming down on my side. All right? And then with this petal over here, I'm noticing it is a darker purple on the right side and a more reddish purple on the left side. So I'm gonna pull this red, I'm gonna go just to the edge of that highlight that we did. I'm just gonna put a line of that red. I didn't fill it out, I just kind of added that detail. Okay? And now I'm gonna take this same color, and I'm gonna go to the edge of the top of these top petals, and I'm gonna just pull it down a little bit. So you see, I'm just kind of filling in a little bit of this edge. Can you see Yona? What a little fool. She's been sniffing the paints lately. I don't know what that's about. She's been around them her whole life. I don't know what the intrigue is all of a sudden. So I just did a little bit. It's not in a specific, oh no. All is safe. It's not in a specific shape. I really just kind of mainly prioritized getting that outline, and then I just pulled it in a little bit, and I didn't really follow any exact structure. I think I'm also gonna take right here in this corner and just add a little dab of paint right there. Like I said, this is not about things being precise and exact. We are just adding some like different layers of color in different positions, kind of in general where we see them, so that we can add that detail that we wouldn't be able to make up ourselves. So I'm gonna come over to this petal right here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna add this red color to the top portion, not going into the edge, the outer dark edge, but just kind of going up to where that light portion starts. And I'm just touching it with this color and pulling that down. Okay, and then we're gonna do some more lines just to add those little ruffle details. So I'm gonna add, coming over here, I'm just gonna add a little line in the center. And you see, I've already covered over some of the lines that I made before. So it is okay if it's not in the best place, you can always cover over it. So I'm gonna do a line over here too. I'm gonna come to this and kind of make a little peak with it. So that's what we're looking at. Remember, none of this is exact placement. This is all just kind of general placement. I'm gonna come over here to the point of our back petal, this one that's kind of peeking out, and you see we've got 2 lines coming down. So where I have my little M structure that we talked about, if you did a V, whatever you did, just kind of pop 2 lines coming down that give that illusion of, I don't know, a ruffle. Mine were 2 parallel, 2 perfect, which we've said we don't want perfect. So just kind of brush that out, make sure it doesn't look like it was perfectly done, which, how freeing is that, y'all? The goal is to not look perfect. That's why, one of the many reasons why I love botanicals is because the goal of it is to make it look like it wasn't made in a factory, and I just love that. Okay, so I'm noticing now a little bit of lightness on this petal right here on the very bottom. So I'm gonna keep the color we've mixed, make it just a little bit lighter maybe. You don't have to, you know the paints that you're working with right now. And I'm just gonna come to the edge of this and just continue on and just add a little bit of line. A little dot and a little line. Nice and simple. Yona is playing with a flower over there. She is the most adorable little hippie cat I've ever seen. Okay, so I've also kind of lost, I don't have a great blend with these edges on my main petal that we're looking at. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna mix, keep the color that we've mixed, this reddish light purple. It's this color right here, so same color we've been working with. And I'm just gonna bring it over here and just put it in between my dots and my lines. So not a perfect blending, but just a little bit of something. And like, if y'all are paying attention, like there are sharp color differences right next to each other that are not blended together. And that's what makes the ruffles, that's what makes the shadows, when you have a light right next to a dark. So don't get caught up in blending everything perfectly together, because we want those sharp lines of dark next to light and dark next to light and red next to blue purple. So we want those sharp contrasts. So fight the urge to blend everything. Speaking to you specifically with that one, Mel. Fight the urge to blend everything. Okay, I'm just gonna put a pop of this red color right here on mine because it's a lot of blue right there. So just popping it there. And I think for right now, that's where we want that. So I'm gonna clean off my brush and we're gonna add some fun detail now. And this is one of the areas where it just starts to make things pop up a little bit better. So we're gonna take our white. So I got my white right there. And I'm gonna take a little bit of this red purple. So if you don't have any purple left over, just take it mostly red, and it's just gonna be like a light pink. So we're just making a light pink right now. If you wanna mix a little bit of, like a tiny bit of blue into that, you can, to make it more lavender, but that's not required. So you get that light pink. This is what color it is. And then we're gonna flatten our, we're gonna flatten our brush. So put a little water in it, get that light pink, and we're gonna go back to these lines that we originally drew. We're gonna draw those two back in, okay? So just go back to, even if you've covered over it, go back to where you kind of remember it being, and just draw those two lines back in. Beautiful. And we've got another line kind of right there on this edge. So I'm gonna go back to the edge of this flower petal and draw a little line right there too. Good job. All right, now we're gonna go back to just straight white. So clean off that brush now that we've got those lines in. And we are going to cover in, well first, we're gonna do our lines. Remember these, let me see if I can bend it without breaking it. These beautiful lines. I'm gonna pull it up closer to you so you can see what we're looking at. This is the pattern of the inside of our petal. It is beautiful. So we're gonna kind of recreate that a little bit. We're not trying to completely recreate it because that would be stressful, and this is not supposed to be stressful. So we are gonna do the illusion of it by getting that flat line, flatten your brush, get a little bit of white paint at the tip, and then you're just gonna start at the center where you have this little dome and just pull out. And it doesn't have to be perfect lines, but just kind of pull out. I'm coming down. Just creating little lines. Okay, so that's what mine looks like. I took the length of this brush and I did the sharp side, and I just kind of did little lines. Y'all are doing great. Now where you have the dome drawn out, mine doesn't go perfectly, so I'm just gonna recover that in white paint. Yes. And if y'all have done one of our yellow flowers before, you'll know that yellow paint is very transparent and translucent, so that can be challenging to work with. So now wherever I see yellow, I'm gonna add a little bit of white, so that when we go to add the yellow on top, it'll sit on top of the white and come off as yellow, rather than sitting on top of the purple and coming off as brown. Sound good? So I see yellow all in this center. So I started with my main little tuft, which no one seems to know what it's called. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of white right here in this corner, and then a little bit of white. I can see the start of that on the insides of our flowers that are dropping down. So I'm gonna add a little bit of white on this petal, on this heady, the bottom petal, and this one right here. So I'm just adding little peaks of white so that I can add in yellow here with my brush. So I can add in yellow. So these little peaks of white, not in a specific shape, they're just kind of giving me the placement of where my yellow is gonna go. So speaking of yellow, let's get a little yellow on the page. Remember, you don't need that much, just a little tiny dab. You don't want to use through all your paint in one session. That would be incredibly sad. Okay, so we've got our yellow. Mix a little bit of white in it just for kicks and giggles to make it a little bit stronger. Even though we did do that bottom layer of white to make it stronger, we're still gonna mix a little bit of white into our yellow so that we can have a nice strong yellow. And we're just covering over our center dome first to give us courage. If you have too much water in your brush like I just did, just dab it off on your little cloth or whatever you have. And then where you see yellow, we're just gonna do a little line of yellow peeking out. So just like that. Great job, y'all. We've got about 15 minutes left in this class time, but remember, if you are live, we're gonna switch over to a new live where I will talk you through whatever questions you have and we'll be able to work through things in detail. If you're not live, if you're watching the recording, you can always pause, catch up, and then keep going. But if you ever get completely stuck, please know that I am available. So if you want to DM me a picture of what you're working on midway, just let me know what you're struggling with and I will help you get there. So just know I am always available for that. But if you're live, we're going to go 15 more minutes or so, and then we're going to switch. So I'm mixing an orange-ish color now. So very light. It's more of a mustard yellow. Like if you imagine what it looks like if you've ever mixed mustard and ketchup up, it doesn't really make a red color or a true orange, just like a mustard yellow. So this is the color I just mixed. And that is just for added layering. So now if you notice with this right here, it is three-dimensional, right? It's fluffy, it's not a flat color. So we're gonna add a little bit of that texture. Okay, so I'm just straight line, just like I did for the other stuff. And I'm just kind of bouncing some dots. Just texturized it a little bit, so it doesn't look like a flat color. I'm just adding that texture. So just kind of add a little bit of that. And that's only in the center one. The other ones we're only seeing the flat color, but the center one, we definitely see that texture. Okay? And if you need to go back and grab some white, you don't need to mix it with the other colors and just dab that on top too. Ooh, definitely do that. So just get a little bit of white after you flatten your brush out, get a little bit of white and just dot on top. Beautiful, right? Y'all are doing so good. Thank you for sticking with me. We've got this. I'm sure yours is coming along nicely. And if not, this was an excellent first round and you can always get it better the next time. But I'm sure it's much better than you think. And you have to admit, this is a very complex flower. So y'all are just doing great and I'm really proud of you. Okay, so we're gonna go to the stem right now. So grab a little bit of blue and a little bit more yellow. And we are mixing this kind of green right here. So right there, and we're just gonna pull it down. So same thing that we've done with the other colors, we're just filling in that blanket color. And the first layer is always a little bit disappointing because you can see the brush strokes, you can see the pencil marks. It doesn't really look strong, but you've got to get that first layer in so that you can get to the second layer. So just kind of fill that stem and that leaf in. And just decide how you want it to end. You can pull it all the way off the page if you want to, or you can do like I did and just kind of create a little angle. Now, grab a little bit more yellow, mix that in with your green and a little bit of white, mix that in too. We're gonna make this color right here. So get a nice flat brush. You do not want a clumpy, glumpy brush. A nice flat brush. And then at the very top, you see that we have that lighter color. So we're gonna create that lighter color coming out of the stem. And then I'm going to, on my left side, carry that highlight down. So I'll then take the thin side of my brush and pull it down. Not covering the whole stem, just covering a part of it. And then with the leaf, I'm gonna take the flat side with this color and just pull up a little bit. I need a little bit more water. And I'm just gonna pull up and add just a little bit of that lighter color. Beautiful. Y'all, this is really looking great. We've got another 5 or 6 minutes on this video before we need to call it quits, and then we'll open up that live video for questions and I'll talk you through the end. So clean off your brush after you get that stem filled in. And then we're gonna move over back to our darker purple, and we're gonna do that final layer on top because we only did the one layer in this section. And if yours looks anything like mine, it's definitely still transparent and it needs another layer on top because everything else has multiple layers. Okay? So we're gonna mix that darker purple up. I'm gonna do mine a little bit red heavy because that was too blue for me that first round. So this is where the first color mixing doesn't matter as much. So I've mixed that new color in, and I'm just gonna go along the middle and just kind of fill that section in with this new darker color that I've mixed. Be careful not to cover up your white lines if that overlaps. And just add that second layer, okay? So just wherever you see those darker moments that you still have left, I've still got some right here in the center. Don't bother with the edges. The edges are fine. They are what they are. But yeah, those center bits, like that center right there, that center right there, it needed another line. And then the last little thing specifically that I'm seeing is, let's bring it up. We've got this really pretty light purple line that just comes straight down the center. And I want to add that in. So let's do that. Okay, so get that brush. Grab a little touch of that purple, that dark purple you just mixed. And you're going to get some white. Mix that together. And that's going to create this really pretty light purple. Flatten your brush off. And we're going to create that line. If you need a little water to make it glide, use it. We're going to come up where our little yellow tuft is and kind of at an angle, just kind of pull it down. Oh, that's so pretty, y'all. I'm really pleased with that. So I've got this color mixed up. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little more details and just do a little dot there, right? So I just add a little bit more lightness in those inside bits. Hey, Kara, welcome. Gosh, I miss your smiling face. Okay, so I did those two little dots right on the inside with this color that I mixed for that inside line. And I think I'm gonna add just a little bit more on that little edge right there too. So I'm not going the full edge, I'm not covering up the color I already have. I'm just doing a little line extra in there, okay? And then I'm gonna do the same thing in the other places where I have this light spot. So I'm going on the inside of my light colors and just adding a little bit of extra detail. A little bit of extra, a slightly lighter color, and just adding a little dot of it. And that creates that contrast that we talked about where you want that light right next to the dark, and it adds to the volume and it adds to the delicate nature of this flower. So let's see. I'm gonna add another dot right here, just a little spot. I'm gonna add a little line right here. I'm just adding those ruffles as I need to. Y'all are doing so well. Okay, keep working on that as you need to. If you are in the recording right now, so I'll talk to you in just a second if you're live, but if you're in the recording, I want you to just keep going with these stages and these steps that I've shown you. And if you need to add, like mine needs a little bit more light on the stem right there, you know how to mix that. You just get the green, you mix yellow with blue and white, and you just mix a lighter color and you put that at the stem. If you need a darker color, you can make a brown like this. So to make brown, you're gonna mix blue, red, and yellow all together, and that'll make a pretty brown, and that will help you to get a darker green. If you want an even darker green, just mix a little bit of red in with your green, and that'll give you a darker low light and shadow. So if you're in the recording, pause it where you need to, go back to what you need to, and just know I am always available if you want to DM me or just shoot me any questions that you have. I am here. So if you're in the recording, I'm going to give you an opportunity now to take a screenshot. So screenshot of my drawing, screenshot of the flower, screenshot of them both. Okay? If you are live, I'm about to end this, but we're going to open up a new live for y'all to ask me your questions. I will help you get the final details. I'll still work on mine a little bit, and we'll just do a little bit more tweaking, and I will help you. If you're in the recording, show me your pictures. So once you get finished, post your pictures, tag me in them, and use the hashtag #LovelyThingsToCome so that we can all see what people are creating in this class, and we can celebrate each other. Just know, I do try to share the things that y'all post, but if your profile is on private, I can't share it. So don't feel like I'm leaving you out of the pack. It just makes it, Instagram won't let me share it. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed today's class. I hope this has been restful for you. I hope that this has been a skill building opportunity for you and that you feel like you've grown a little bit. If you are happy with your painting, I'm so excited for you. And if you're not happy with it, keep pushing it. This is a skill. You're not supposed to be perfect from the start. And it's a flower, so you can just say it got hit by a rainstorm or something. That's nature, right? If you're live, we're gonna pop up that new live. If not, I'll see you later. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye, y'all.